The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Dilini Gunawardana and read by Ramesh Peris. The headlines. The second reading of the online safety bill is passed. An additional tax revenue of 310 million rupees has been collected from 6 private financial companies that had committed financial irregularities. 5,500 new teachers will be recruited soon. The UNDP signs MOU to promote Sri Lanka's innovation and responsible business practices. A suspect is arrested over mass shooting in Beliatta. In news overseas, Russia says 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war were on the plane that crashed. In sports, it's tennis, Australian Open 2024, Daniil Medvedev beat Hubert Hurkacz. Now the local news in detail. The second reading of the online safety bill was passed in Parliament today with a majority of 46 votes. A total of 108 MPs had voted in favour, while 62 had voted against the bill. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardana says that the online safety bill will assure the establishment of a media culture in which the truth reigns. The bill aims to prevent the emergence of a cynical society. MP and former President Maithripala Sirisena emphasized the need to monitor the social media. He said those who use the social media for cyberbullying should be severely punished. Joining the debate, MP Vajira Abewardena said that such new regulations should be introduced along with the advancement of technology. Meanwhile, opposition leader Ajit Premadasa said that legal measures should be introduced to control hate speech and misinformation. State Minister Dr. Ranjit Simbalapitiya says that an additional tax revenue of 310 million rupees has been collected from 6 private financial companies that had committed financial irregularities. The CID has identified another 12 more financial companies that has committed financial fraud and investigations are underway. State Minister Dr. Simbalapitiya further stated that under the present law, all measures have been taken to bring these companies to account and advice has been sought from the Attorney General. Minister Susil Premchand said that 5,500 new teachers will be recruited to teach chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics, technology and languages. Details in this regard are available in the Gazette. The decision on the petition heard in the Supreme Court on the recruitment of 22,000 development officers into the Sri Lanka teaching services will be given next week. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. The United Nations Development Programme in Sri Lanka and the UN Global Compact Network Sri Lanka has recently renewed their commitment through the signing of the 3rd Memorandum of Understanding in a move towards advancing sustainable development. The UNDP said the agreement aims to join efforts in facilitating private sector participation and promoting sustainable development in Sri Lanka. As the first non-private sector entity to secure a position on the Network Sri Lanka board, UNDP has nurtured a robust partnership through years of collaboration with Network Sri Lanka. A suspect has been arrested over his alleged complicity in the recent killing of 5 persons in Beliatta in Hambantota district. According to the police, the arrest was made in Mathura today. The arrestee is believed to have been the driver of the vehicle used by the assailants and is also suspected of having orchestrated the mass shooting which took place on Tuesday. Earlier today, the vehicle used by the assailants was found parked near the Vidyaloka Pirivan in Gaul. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
In the main news story, Senior Superintendent of Police Nihal Thaldua has been promoted to the rank of Deputy Inspector General of Police. Accordingly, DIG Thaldua will take charge of Police Crime Range and will continue to serve as the police media spokesman as well. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
In Watchlight this evening, it has been reported that 3 small bridges from Tebuana to Pallapitiagoda in the Kalutara-Nabadda road is at a severely dilapidated condition. It has been caused obstruction to the transportation activities in the area. The residents in the area have requested the relevant authorities to expedite the renovation activities of these bridges. This is for the attention of the Road Development Authority.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to the bulletin of World News, and first the headlines. Russia says 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war were on the plane that crashed. Israeli army intensifies bombing of Khan Yunis. South Africa expects World Court genocide judgment on Friday. Now the World News in detail. The Russian Defense Ministry says a military plane has crashed in Belgorod, near the Ukrainian border. The ministry said, quote, on board were 65 captured Ukrainian army servicemen being transported for exchange, 6 crew members and 3 escorts, unquote. What caused the plane to crash has not been verified yet. Video on social media showed a plane going down near the village of Yablonovo, 70 kilometers to the northeast of Belgorod. Mass panicked as Israeli forces issued evacuation orders for over 500,000 people crammed into an area in the southern Gaza to flee elsewhere. The UN chief Antonio Guterres said risks of a regional war are now a reality, urging all sides to step back from the brink and consider the consequences' horrendous costs. Meanwhile, quoting the medical sources, Al Jazeera reported at least 40 Palestinians were killed in Khan Yunis over the day, while Israeli bombings are preventing the recovery of dozens more bodies. South Africa news website News24 reports the International Court of Justice (ICJ) is expected to rule on Friday on whether it will grant emergency measures to stop the war in Gaza. Earlier this month, South Africa asked the ICJ to order an emergency suspension of Israel's devastating military campaign in the Palestinian enclave, accusing it of carrying out a state-led genocide. Israel dismissed the genocide allegations as grossly distorted and said it has a right to defend itself. Over 25,000 people have been killed in Gaza since the 7th of October. Back to the headlines of the World News. Russia says 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war were on the plane that crashed. Israeli army intensifies bombing of Khan Yunis. South Africa expects World Court genocide judgment on Friday, and that concludes World News.
Development News.
In development news, the Ceylon Italy Blue Economy Association, CIBEA, forged a sustainable path towards introducing green hydrogen and e-fuel bunkering in the Indian Ocean by taking the first step in implementing a roadmap centered around Trincomalee. This roadmap, launched at the inaugural Sri Lanka Forum held in Colombo recently on green hydrogen and e-fuels bunkering in the Indian Ocean, has the potential to transform Trincomalee into a global leader in sustainable development and establish the Green Corridor as a model for clean maritime fuel transportation, marking a significant step towards a sustainable future for maritime transportation in the region. And that was Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
In sports, it's tennis. Two-time Australian Open finalist Daniel Medvedev used his greater experience deep in a Grand Slam to beat Polish 9th seed Hubert Hurkacz for a place in this year's semi-final. Russian 3rd seed Medvedev won 7-6, 7-4, 2-6, 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 in the 9th major quarter-final of his career. Hurkacz is only his second quarter-final, fought back to level, but Medvedev edged the decider to progress. Medvedev is aiming for a second major title after winning the 2021 US Open. He will play either Carlos Alcaraz or Alexander Zverev, who met later on Wednesday in the Friday's semi-final. And that was Sports News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Moving on to business news, with the aim of elevating Sri Lanka's youth talent in the tourism and hospitality sector, the Swiss Hotel Management Academy Private Limited of A. Bauer and Company Private Limited opened its second learning center of the Skills for Sustainable Growth program at the Kandy National Youth Corps. Over 70 students have successfully enrolled at the Kandy Learning Center. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, State Minister of Technology Kanaka Herath said that Sri Lanka should modernize agro-sector to reap more economic benefits for both farmers and lower prices for consumers. He made this remark at the launch of Govilab, agri-tech accelerator launched jointly by Sarvodaya in collaboration with Hatchworks. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we move on to the weather report. Mainly fair weather will prevail over the island. There is a possibility of ground frost at some places in the Nuwara Eliya district during the early hours of the morning. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamu, Central and Uva provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning. And that was the weather report. And now to end this news bulletin, a recap of the main news headlines. The second reading of the online safety bill is passed. An additional tax revenue of 310 million rupees has been collected from 6 private financial companies that had committed financial irregularities. 5,500 new teachers will be recruited soon. The UNDP signs MOU to promote Sri Lanka's innovation and responsible business practices. A suspect is arrested over mass shooting in Beliata. In news overseas, Russia says 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war were on the plane that crashed. And in sports, it's tennis, Australian Open 2024. Daniel Medvedev beats Hubert Hurkacz. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Calling all aspiring radio presenters. Unlock your potential with our exclusive radio training program. Learn from seasoned professionals and discover the art of presenting. Become the voice that resonates with thousands of listeners. You will be provided with a valid certificate that opens doors to endless possibilities. Contact Indira on 0112 696 452 for more information.
Sinhala Asamodakam. No artificial colors, flavors, preservatives or alcohol.
From where can we buy?
From all outlets, pharmacies, boutiques and supermarkets. Sinhala Asamodakam.
In order for you to invoke blessings upon your family and the nation at large, with the sponsoring of the delivery of the sermon by the Mahasangha on the airwaves of National Radio, get in touch with us to be a part of this meritorious deed by calling us on 0112 696271 on weekdays between 9 and 3. The meritorious contribution for the Dharma exceeds all other meritorious deeds. Be a part of this meritorious contribution.
Calling all aspiring radio presenters. Unlock your potential with our exclusive radio training program. Learn from seasoned professionals and discover the art of presenting. Become the voice that resonates with thousands of listeners. You will be provided with a valid certificate that opens doors to endless possibilities. Contact Indira on 0112 696 452 for more information.
The time moves on to 30 minutes past 6. Good evening and a warm welcome to the program. It's a musical miscellany where we are going to enjoy some music from the past and present here on Radio Sri Lanka. And I'm going to be with you till 10 p.m. till the curtains come down. And we're going to have some fun with the musical miscellany first. Then just a program reminder, at 8:45 it's going to be the final news bulletin of the day, followed by at 9 o'clock it's Family Choice, and you can be part of the program by getting in touch with me on 26943116. 26943116 is the number to get in touch. Good evening, good to have your company this Wednesday evening. We start the show with Michael Bublé, Come Fly With Me.